Welcome to today's video. So today I want to talk about resistance, having resistance, and how to distinguish whether this resistance is something that we should ignore or something that we should listen to. Whether the resistance is our intuitive nature or our egoic nature. Whether it's something that we need to lean towards or whether it's something that we need to avoid. So when we feel resistance, we're feeling resistance to something new. And for a lot of people, when they are feeling resistance, they avoid it. They avoid that resistance. And this is biologically necessary. If there's something that is dangerous, something that's going to take us beyond who we think we are, or if there's a possibility of ourselves dying or a part of ourselves dying, then we are often going to feel resistance to move forward. Whether it's something that's out of your comfort zone because it could lead to danger, whether it's something unfamiliar, unknown, something that's not in routine or in a habitual form. Anything that's out of that normality, generally most people on the planet are going to feel that resistance. And here's where the key factor comes in. Because for me, for example, early on in my path, I had a lot of resistance to new things. And I had to almost pinpoint and seek certain resistance. I had to go through the path that was most resistant. That was my compass towards evolution. So any area in my life that I was resistant on, and I felt the area of compression and I didn't feel like stepping towards that, I would try to lean towards that. I would try to see what's going on beyond the resistance. What's there? Is it something that I need to lean into? And I used to do this. And then eventually my vibration started to change and I got into different stages in my life, and the resistance basically came up to a midpoint where this midpoint, the resistance was coming in with the intuition of resistance. So sometimes my body, my intuitive nature was telling me, no, I shouldn't be doing this. That's not good for me. This was my intuition or my gut instinct or my heart instinct. Intuitively, I felt something was not right. But then I'm like, how do I distinguish? Is this some resistance that I need to lean towards? Or is this resistance that I need to listen to and avoid? That I need to do something else? So when I got into that mid stage, it was very confusing. And I think a lot of people get caught up in this. They don't know if their intuition is talking to them or if their biology is talking to them, or their conditioning or their memories and upbringing and their survival instincts, the mind, activity of the mind compared to the activity of the intuitive nature. And if you can't get in tune with the different frequency, because what there will be is a different frequency of each. But it takes time to understand this, especially when they're at a midway point. Early on in your stage, you're going to have less intuition. You're going to have less of that gut instinct because you're not as connected to spirit. This was for me anyway. I wasn't as connected to my intuition, so I needed to, that resistance was a compass I needed to lean towards. And the more I pushed towards that resistance, the more I had breakthroughs, the more I had changes, the more I had unfoldments in my life. But then eventually the resistance met intuition because I was developing intuition, developing guidance. I was developing certain techniques to help navigate my path. And so this was very confusing for me because I would feel the resistance and I'd feel this resistance. And I was like unsure which one to listen to, which one to ignore, which one I should push towards. If I have resistance to something, do I push towards that or do I listen to that? So no, something's not right there. So it's a different frequency that I started to tap into. And this frequency is different for everyone. You'll start to notice that there are subtleties and little nuances to the resistance of your ego and your biological nature and the resistance of your intuition. One will be kind of like a knowing, more of a space of, it feels right to not do that. Where the other one will be a bit more contractive, a bit more fearful, a bit more scared and afraid and survival and like afraid of that something is going to happen. Very irrational resistance sometimes. Very irrational. And that's usually survival. And obviously like it's helpful. We don't want to remove that completely because we need a healthy sense of danger. Like if there's something that's really dangerous, we need an indicator to tell us to not do that. Not approach the lion, not fall off the cliff, not approach the person with the gun. So basic instincts, which we all have, but usually that basic instinct becomes an overload for most people on the planet. So that resistance, again, was a different vibration. Very afraid, very fearful, very survival based, where the resistance of intuition was a little bit like, you shouldn't do that. Not necessary. No, don't need to do that. So it's different frequency. But when you're at this midway vibration, at this midpoint, it's going to get confusing. But eventually, as you continue on, the resistance will be less and the intuition will be more. And you'll notice that you actually start to listen more to the resistance, but it'll be a different frequency than this one here. A lot different frequency. And this resistance will start to fade away and it becomes more of a flowing nature. And as you continue to go up, your intuition will be more in your spotlight. So you'll be more attuned to your intuition. And the resistance will still come up from time to time. But you'll notice it, you'll be like, this is false. This is something I shouldn't listen to, and this is something quite obvious that I should listen to. It just rings a bell, and it just doesn't seem right. And you'll see, sometimes we need to make the wrong decision. We need to make a mistake so that we can learn from a mistake. And this is how I learnt to listen to my intuition and get more of a gauge on which one's the wrong one I should listen to, which one's the one I should push towards. And so by me just gauging through experience, through making mistakes, I would see, when I listened to this, it was correct. When I listened to this, it wasn't correct. And usually life, teaches you the mistake if it's a mistake. And, we need to make mistakes so that we can learn that they're not right for us. So it's okay. Like, great to make mistakes. Like, I think it's even great for us to failure. A lot of people avoid failure, avoid mistakes, and then we don't end up living like a life that's too freeing. We're trying to be in control, trying to micromanage. So I think it's important for us to, be able to let go of that control. Let go of that need to fixate on every problem and try and find a solution for everything. And so we need to be able to get a gauge on this and allow ourselves to make mistakes, to fail. And this is the way we're going to learn through this process of distinguishing whether it's our resistance, egoic resistance that we need to lean towards, that's false, that's lying to us to try and keep us safe, or if it's our intuitive nature, our higher intelligence, our higher guidance, which again can come simply from your belly and your heart, even your third eye, into your higher intuition. For me, it becomes like a knowing, more of a knowing that this is right. But again, when those scales are at a halfway point, it's going to be very confusing. But as soon as it starts to tip more onto the intuition side, or it may even tip more onto that side, You're going to notice, and then you're going to learn through making mistakes or seeing certain things that came to fruition were from making the right choice. That's how we know. It's how we gauge things. So eventually, your resistance, which people can perceive as being intuition, oh, it's resistance, and it's something I need to push towards. This is a very different paradigm that we step into, where our resistance becomes a lot less, and we're only actually resistant to things that aren't good for us. We become less, I say less because it's still there, less controlled and less run by this egoic resistance, this tribal resistance, this safety and scarcity resistance. We get less run by that and more overrun by our higher nature, our high intuitive guidance, which sometimes says no. It says, no, you should not be doing that. Avoid that scenario. And it's a very different space. It's just like, you should know. It's like your grandma or your mum telling you, or a teacher telling off a student. It's just a nice way, and they're just telling off the student, or they're saying to you, you shouldn't be doing that. No good. You're a bad boy or a bad girl. You know better. It's more loving, this space of resistance. Where this space, it's very scared, very afraid, very fearful. And you'll feel it in your body. Your body will contract more. But this one, it's like, it's no, but it still feels good in the body, no. It still feels like it's a no, but it's not a negative no. It's like, okay. And this is another big thing too, because a lot of people will try and follow intuition. And I used to do this too. I just try and constantly follow my intuition. I'd be sitting and I'd be trying to let my intuition make decisions for me. I always wanted guidance. Where should I go? Should I go to this park? Should I go to this nature spot? Should I go to that beach? Should I go to that restaurant to eat? Should I go do that? Should I go do that? And I used to try and let my intuition overly guide me. And this was good, like initially to learn and get practice from, to try and gauge and get, tune in to your body and tune into your heart, tune into your gut to see what is the right choice. But then I realized that sometimes it's okay for us to make the choice, that we actually are connected to the intuition. And especially as we continue to raise our consciousness and our vibration, we connect more to our spirit. And who do you think that intuition is coming from? It is coming from spirit. Whether you like to call it your higher self, whether you like to call it from angels, whether you like to call it from God. When we do connect more to our higher nature, our true nature, our intuitive system becomes a lot stronger because we are the intuitive nature. Our spiritual essence is innately intuitive. It's the very fabric of our true nature. So it's just a byproduct, but we think it's separate from us. We think the intuition is separate, that it's something else guiding us. But the more we connect to who we truly are, you'll realize, and I came to this realization, that I am the guidance. I am the one that is giving myself intuitive guidance. So the more you connect to that, the more you'll just start to be intuition. You'll just start to know. It'll be in your very essence, your being, as you move around, you're embodying intuition. And of course, there's stages to that, and I'm sure people are very, very intuitive because they're more connected to spirit. They're more connected to the now moment. They're more connected to the divine. They're also connected to their belly, to their heart, their third eye. Everything's activated and flowing. And of course, if you have a good belief that you can receive this, if you have experience, referent experience, you've practiced, you've seen that it works, and you trust that, you have faith, this is where you can constantly stay in that intuitive state. Constantly receive guidance, which is actually you. You are the guidance. And so you'll get to points where you will notice you are making the decisions from this higher place. It's just a higher you making higher decisions. Where before you were a smaller you, an egoic you, a human self. You identified as something else. You've lost your identity in something that is not your actual essence. It's who you think you are, it's who you identify with, but you're actually the blue sky. You're not the clouds. You're the spiritual essence, not the human. The human is who you are temporarily. It's part of your vessel, it's part of your temple, but it is still temporary. And the spirit is the only thing that's permanent. That's who you truly are. So as we disconnect from our ego and connect more to spirit, you're going to notice the intuition is more noticeable, less resistance will occur. It's still there, but it's not as thick and it's very noticeable. Up here becomes more in control. And when you step into that intuitive nature, you're stepping into your divine nature. Life will start to become more intuitive. You'll be more guided because you are living as that higher guidance, the spirit that is intuitive. It's just the very qualities that being a spiritual person has, or being a spiritual being, which we are all at our core. We are all this intuitive, advanced being. And so from this space, you'll notice that your choices are up to you. And this might seem a bit funny because I used to think, I always need guidance. And I started to realize, I can choose because I'm more in a higher place. But the intuition is just a knowing that I know. It's like just a knowing that something's not right and something is right. Like you don't have to, if I ask you, is the sky blue? You don't have to really think about that and question that and try to understand it. And is that the right guidance? Like you just know, it's a knowing. Yeah, the sky's blue. Is grass green? You know it's green. It's knowing. It's simple. It's not yellow, it's not pink. So when you connect to this knowing, things just become more common sense. And it's a lot different from your egoic sense, your tribal your tribal nature sense, the survival instinct sense. That's still necessary. We don't want to get rid of that, but it becomes less. It becomes more like a fragrance, just a background scent, keeping us protected. And we stay in our core essence, we can choose. Just like when you go to an ice cream shop, you may be guided to go to the ice cream shop. That's your intuition. You're guided to go to the ice cream shop, metaphorically. When you get to the ice cream shop, it's your choice. Your intuition's not telling you to have the banana, or to have the strawberry, or you should have the mousse, or you should have the tiramisu. Your intuition doesn't care. The intuition is just get an ice cream. And then when you go to the ice cream shop, it's your choice. You can pick. But what happens is we get caught up and we want the guidance. We want guidance on whether we want banana. We want guidance on if we should have strawberry. Should we have watermelon? Should I have tiramisu? Should I have dark chocolate? Which one do I have? Guidance, please. And it's like, it's your choice. You make the choice. So sometimes we get guided to go somewhere, to do something, or to not do something. But then when we get taken to that space, when we are in that experience, sometimes it's our choice. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, for example, I could get guided to be in nature. And I could be trying to figure out and get intuitive guidance. Should I go to Bondi Beach? Should I go to Guatemala? Should I go to the Blue Mountains? Should I go to the Royal National Park? Should I go to Kurungai? Where do I go? And intuition doesn't really care. It's like, you choose. You choose. What do you prefer? The intuitive nature is telling me to go into nature, so I listen to that. But then it's my choice. Again, it doesn't always have to be, which one's the right one, which one's the higher choice. They're all nature. Just like the ice cream, they're all ice cream. They're all ice cream. You make the choice. As long as you're eating the ice cream, that's what the intuition wants. As long as you're going into nature, that's what the intuition wants. The rest is your choice. It's not good or bad. There's no ice cream that's better than the other. Of course, there's like healthier ones, some with less sugar. I get that. But I'm just using the metaphor here. And I'm sure, depending on the weather that day, different nature spots may be more enjoyable. But the metaphor here, and I'm trying to get at, is that you can make the choice. That not always intuition needs to be on your back. That it's the overall general idea of where you need to be heading, what you need to be doing. And if you feel the resistance, if there's resistance one day to not eat ice cream, it's simple. Just don't eat the ice cream. I'm using the metaphor. You feel the resistance. But if it's this lower resistance, this irrational resistance, which again will start to just fade away, you almost forget that it's there. It might pop up every now and again if it needs to, if you're in danger. Like if you come across a lion, or you come across an animal that's dangerous, or you're in a dangerous position, this will kick in. The fight or flight mode will kick in, the stress response, the healthy sense of danger. But for most of the part, it's just going to be like in the background, just in the background. And up here, you'll be more in that flowing nature, knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're good, and following that intuition, following that guidance. So again, this is going to change depending on your level of consciousness and your belief system, depending on where you're at in life, the different stages that you're at. That initially, like I said, I had a lot of resistance, and I had to push through that. I had to look at my resistance and lean towards it. Needed to lean towards it. The resistance was almost showing me areas I needed to step towards, like a compass. But then as I moved on, it became less of a compass, more intuition. And it became that 50-50, a bit of confusion, what's going on? But then it started to tip a bit more. Intuition came stronger, the resistance became less. So I had to stop listening to this as much, start listening to this as much. And it became less and less and less, to the point where it's still there, but just like a little bit more of a background noise. Where this was more in the front end. And again, when it's in the front end, you're more connected to spirit. You're more connected to source. So you'll just naturally be intuitive. You'll be more psychic. Naturally, you'll just be more in that energetic state where you will receive guidance, where you will receive synchronicities. Certain things will just fall in your lap. And you may even notice, you'll be surprised that from this certain space that you reach, that you can get to, that things just become easier, that you learn you can't really even make the wrong choice, because the wrong choice leads you to the right choice. And in that wrong choice is a lesson and learning and growth. So there is no wrong choice, but it's a different space. So I hope you enjoyed today's video on resistance, and check in where you're at. See if that resistance is gripping, annoying, if it's something that you should lean towards. And what's going to help with this is having awareness. So developing stronger awareness through meditation. You can have more awareness of that resistance, more awareness of your intuitive nature, and you'll be able to grow and be more intuitive, because you're connecting more to spirit when you're practicing meditation. So check in. That intuition is going to be nicer, more soft, more gentle. For some people, they may not even notice it, because it's going to be so silent, and the noisy mind and the noisy resistance of the ego and the tribal nature and the identity is going to overrun and be overly consumed. And it's going to be so loud that you can't even hear this. It's going to be like this little background noise while this massive concert's going on, and you're trying to hear the birds. The birds are trying to talk to you, and there's a massive concert, rock and roll concert. But eventually, when you make that switch, the rock and roll concert gets quieter and quieter. And then eventually you'll start to hear the birds. And the rock and roll concert just in the background. You just hear the background music, very subtle. And all you can hear is the main focus of the birds. And this is what happens when you connect more with your intuition, when you connect more with your spirit. It's going to be more noticeable, more loud, but a softer loud. It's not going to be like the rock music loud. It's not going to affect you and give that scared feeling, that restrictive feeling. It's going to be gentle. It's going to be beautiful, soft, to lead you to where you need to go. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.